Hi, Rockschool drummers. Hope you're well. This is Master of Puppets by Metallica, of course. Rockschool Classics drums, grade 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So I hope that all makes a bit of sense. Shout out to channel members Leah and Stephen who are working on this one. Absolutely love it. It was so much fun to play through. I just actually want to just take a second to talk about what these particular videos actually are, because the last handful of this type of video, as in video demos of grade pieces that I've put up, a lot of people have asked me and messaged me and sort of asked questions about it, and it's sometimes apparent from comments that people don't always fully understand what these are. So just to be super clear, what I'm doing when I'm playing these grade pieces is I do video demos. This is my best attempt to play through a drum grade piece as a demonstration, as a reference for my students and channel members and anyone else who's interested, as a reference to follow for people who are preparing these. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's my best playthrough. In Rockschool, which is this one, and in Trinity Rock and Pop, they are not the same as the original. So it's not like a note for note. I know I do very often do note for note drum covers of songs on this channel. That's not what this is. This is a demonstration of a grade piece. And like I say, they're not almost always not the original arrangement of the song anyway. As you can hear, it's not got any vocals on this one, for example, and different things change as well. One of the things I get asked about a lot, or one of the things people often say about drum grades, which I'm a huge fan of generally, people studying, and in my experience, drummers who work through drum grades level by level, almost without fail, benefit hugely from it if they persevere with it. And if they follow the level by level structure, it is, in my opinion, the fastest and most efficient way of getting good at playing the drums. Often people look at it and think, man, I haven't got time to go through all that. My opinion is, if you really want to get good at the drums, you haven't really got time to not go through that, because it's the most efficient and most level by level and most sort of based in that beautiful, always in that lovely improvement zone way of learning. Man, you start at the beginning with the initial grade, or debut it's called in Rockschool, and level by level you build up. So you nail that debut grade down, and then you move to grade 1, and you're sort of standing on the shoulders of all the lovely skills you've built up at the first grade. You're always in that lovely improvement zone, and you just go on forever like that, working through. In the case of Rockschool and Trinity Rock and Pop in particular, loads of amazing classic rocking tunes that just loads of fun to play to. So people often ask me things like, lost my track a bit here. Oh yeah, people often ask me things like, or say things like, well, the thing with drum grades is I like to do my own thing. I don't want to just like follow a part. Well, here's the thing. Often people say that when they haven't really got into drum grades, because drum grades are a great mixture of those two things, of following a part, taking direction, but also being creative. This is a really great example. You're doing both here. And actually, if you're really, in my opinion, serious about developing your drumming skill, those are two enormous skills, two sides of the coin that we need to develop. Number one, take direction. And this is where, in my experience, a large number of drummers lose out on gigs and lose out on development. Is they can play stuff, they can jam around, do their own thing, but when they get to perhaps a slightly more serious level of playing, of performing from various places, a producer, a band leader, someone else, you need to take, a songwriter, you need to take direction. Sometimes a part is written, sometimes things are required of you, and our job, some of the time as a drummer, as I say, when things get a bit more serious, is actually to take that direction. And that's what we're doing some of the time on these pieces. But make no mistake, that's not the whole story. There's plenty of chances to be creative as well. This piece is a really good example, like I say. So on the hits at the start, on the main grooves, on the form of the song, we're following the written part here. But there's loads of chances to put in your own thing as well. So the little solo around the kit near the start, various drum fills, particularly the drum fills where I'm moving around the kit. They were the drum fills that I was asked by the part to just create as I went along. By the way, please don't copy my fills if you're preparing for grade 5. I just, on the spur of the moment, play whatever seems to fit at that moment. So on the part, it will say fill, or it will say develop, or other things like that. Big fill, it sometimes says. So I will just basically do what feels right in the moment and create something, which is the point. And please do the same as well. I mean, I know for a fact that some people have gone to drum grades and they've learned like exactly what I've played. And that isn't the point. Like, even if you get a decent mark for it, that still isn't the point, because the point of doing these, right, point of investing in yourself and following a course of drum grades like this is to develop your drumming, right, your musicianship. So that ability to be creative is a huge part of it. So please don't think, and evidently a lot of people do, I can see from the messages that I get, think that drum grades are just about reading and playing what's prescribed. That's some of it, and but it's a huge part of it, which is being creative as well. Just another question people ask about a lot: are you required to sight read these pieces? No, you're not required to sight read these pieces. In Rockschool and in Trinity, there is a sight reading part of the exam. If you go and do a face-to-face exam. Just to be clear, sight reading there refers to reading and performing something that you've just seen for the first time. So in Rockschool, for example, you get a short piece of written out music. You get like a minute and a half to look over it. Then you perform it. I think sometimes people say sight reading when they just mean reading. So there's no requirement to either sight read or read this. Now, when you're, as the levels go along, as the grade levels go up, it, in my opinion, is, and in my experience, it's definitely a good idea to be able to read from the chart, because there's a lot of information in there as things progress and get more busy and get more complex. So obviously, if you can read it, then you can learn and assimilate that information much more quickly and usually much more accurately as well. So as a part of the huge benefit of studying drum grades, in my opinion, is you develop your reading skills as well, and in turn, your transcribing and learning by ear skills. I've always believed and found, as I've gone along with drums and with teaching, that learning to read music and understand music not only helps your reading, but massively helps playing by ear and learning music quickly as well. So there's no requirement to sight read it or read it, although reading will definitely help as you go along. And yeah, you don't get any extra marks for sight reading it or anything like that. You just have to learn the part. But yeah, reading is a huge part of it, and in my opinion, learning things efficiently and quickly, yeah, reading will massively help. Hope that answers some of the questions. People often reply to these videos and say, yeah, that's cool, but I like to just do my own thing along with it. Just to be clear, in drum grades, if you're serious about your drumming, you get to develop both of those skills. And in my opinion, actually, relatively few drummers do this, and if you do, you'll be very well placed to get gigs and do cool things on the drums. If you can take direction and you can play creatively, convincingly, then you are seriously in business. Very few drummers, in my opinion, who come through truly develop those skills. You get, creative sparks who love to play, and that's great, but sometimes that's not great when you need to actually perform a song and follow a form and things are required of them. Nothing against obviously people playing creatively. If that's what you want to do, if that's what makes you happy, lovely. Yeah, I'm talking about here if your aim is to get to that point of being a performing drummer, a working drummer. In my experience, in my opinion, being able to play creatively but also take direction is the form, and that's where is a really useful thing, and that's where drum grades come in and help so much. So I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching as always. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Leah and Stephen. See you soon. Cheers.